Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today, we are going to be cooking a recipe that cooks in 90 seconds. The whole entire process of this should take less than 5 minutes, theoretically. And it was inspired by a treasure that I've been holding on to for a little while. This lovely spiral-bound cookbook, and is the microwave cookbook. So it doesn't have a printing date, but based on the imagery and the graphic design, I'm going to venture to say that this was published in the early 80s. All of these recipes use the microwave. In my experience, I found microwaves are really useful for warming up leftovers, for heating things up, frozen dinners and the like. That's pretty much what I use it for. Sometimes I use it to cook vegetables. If I want to quickly cook some broccoli or some carrots, for example, cauliflower, it's pretty good for that application as well once you figure out the exact cooking time. But I never use the microwave for anything that I want caramelized or browned. I've never had any luck with it, even back when I was a latchkey kid and I had Hot Pockets and they would give you that little sleeve that had silvery paper inside and guaranteed supposedly that your Hot Pocket would get crispy. It never did. So I was very curious to see what this book includes, and it includes meat recipes, seafood recipes. It also includes some baked things as well. But I was most curious about bread, because bread is a wonderful thing that you can make in the oven and it gets this wonderful texture, chew, crispness. And how do you get that in the microwave? I was very curious and I didn't think it was possible. And sure enough, there was no recipe for bread. So immediately I jumped on the internet to look up microwave bread recipes. This is how my mind works. This is how my researching process works. And I discovered a recipe that says you can make bread in 90 seconds and it doesn't contain any wheat flour whatsoever, which really piqued my interest because right now I'm trying not to eat too much wheat. I've had some skin issues on my face recently and I think it might be related to wheat. I think I might have some kind of rosacea, not really sure, but I find that my skin is better when I don't consume wheat. At any rate, I found this recipe that says I can make bread in 90 seconds using the microwaves and the microwave to create a bread in 90 seconds, and it contains no wheat. Now, all of those things, cooks in 90 seconds, uses microwaves, and it contains no wheat, all sound like a combination for disaster. I believe over 600 positive comments on this recipe, almost 5 stars, like 4.9 something, and it only takes 90 seconds and is appropriate for my current diet. So let's go ahead and test it. So if we're not using flour or wheat, what are we using? Almond flour. The recipe recommends a 4-inch diameter ramekin or glass dish. I did not have a round one, I have a square one, so I hope this will work. 1 tablespoon of melted butter. A bit of salt, an egg. So you could do this in another bowl if you like. Doing it this way just saves you the extra dishwashing. Baking powder and almond flour. Yes, I made rice bread using a blender. If you missed that video, I'll put a link to that down below. I'm very curious, of course, by the results, which look very bread-like on the blog post. But most importantly, I want to know what it tastes like. Does it taste like bread? Does it act like bread? Does it behave like bread? Will it toast like bread? Will it be appropriate for a sandwich? You know, all the things that we really want to know. Because so many things that are adaptive, you know, plant-based things, for example, look very believable visually. But then you taste them and you're just like, no, I'd just rather not. You know what I mean? There's our batter. Looks a little bit like a corn bread batter. Okay, in the microwave for 90 seconds. All right, let's get our bread. Looks like a little cornbread. All right, so I'm using a thin little offset spatula here. And I just shook it and it came right out. I love these gloves, by the way. They look like regular kind of mitten gloves, but they're actually oven mitts. They're not great for really, really hot pans. I would say over 400 degrees. You have to work really quickly, and I would use them along with oven mitts as well, but they're really great because you have your finger dexterity. That's what I really love. I love being able to hold hot things like this and have dexterity rather than, you know, dealing with big mitts. Great. Use them all the time. They're washable. Mine have burn stains and stuff on them, and they're handy. Handy! Do you see what I did there? Alrighty, let's slice it. So it did mound up a little bit in the middle, but I was able to slice it. It smells sweeter than I expected. Slightly eggy. Not bad. Alrighty, let's give our bread a taste. Itadakimasu. It's salty. Wow. Don't use any salt at all if you are going to use salted butter. Very salty. Too salty, I would say. Texture's interesting. It's like a dampened sponge. Like when you take a sponge and you completely wring it out, it's got the bounce of a sponge and it's kind of damp. It does have some spring to it. The taste isn't bad. I've definitely had worse gluten-free breads before. I like their very minimal ingredients. And it does taste slightly eggy, but not bad. Alrighty, let's try toasting it because I think that's what I miss most about not eating wheat is toast. I really love the texture of toast with butter and some jam or a little honey is just so, so good. 2.5, 3 because it is pretty moist and I want this to be nicely toasted. Toast. Now, we like this toaster. We like the larger capacity of the slots because we are a family of 4, so it's really nice to be able to toast 2 sets of toast at the same time. My toaster did break after about 18 months of use, which was really sad. We thought we bought a toaster that would last, but this is a Breville and Breville was great. They replaced it, but I was very happy about that. Still, I wish that appliances were constructed better these days because I can't tell you how many appliances we've gone through where they last a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years, and then we have to replace them. It's just really disappointing. You know, I sound like the cliched old person when I say, oh, they don't build them like they used to, but my parents had a toaster that sat in our kitchen for over 20 years, and all it did one thing, was make toast. And it did it well for a very long time. And I feel like we should still be able to offer things like that. And their toaster did not cost what this toaster cost. Anyways, that's my little feeling about appliances and them not being designed or constructed with longevity in mind, which is because they want you just to replace it and buy a new one. Yes, but I do appreciate the fact that Breville stands behind their product and that we're at least able to replace it. Because I know a lot of other companies do not stand behind their craftsmanship or their product and will not replace it. They just say buy a new one or too bad. You know what I mean? Anyways, all right, I hear some sizzling. Here is our toast. And I have to say, it toasted up very nicely. Look at that. Let's give our toast a taste. It smells good. Toasted. Doesn't have the exact smell of toasted bread, but does smell toasted. Alrighty, we'll have the crunch. Let's find out. Itadakimasu. No, it has a kind of dried, crumbly texture. And in terms of appearances and browning, it looks very much like toast, but it does not have at all the same texture at all as bread. It looks like it though, doesn't it? Look at that. Very bread-like looking. I think the baking powder does that. And it does have some qualities of the texture of bread. It's spongy, but there's a kind of a damp quality to the sponge crumb. And toasted, it's disappointing. It does look very much like toast, but it doesn't have that same style of crunch. It's kind of similar to when you have a cake and the edges of the cake have a little bit of that kind of dried crust. If you're really craving something bread-like, I think this would be a decent option. It takes no time to cook and there are very few ingredients. I love that it's not hyper processed. You're not using a bunch of ingredients that are just, you know, far out and a stretch and end up making something that's just so far removed from food. But in reality, would I make this again? Probably not. My situation allows me that I can have some wheat, not a lot, but some. So I think I would just have a bite of bread or just abstain. But it's nice to have an option. That's how you can make bread in the microwave without any wheat or flour in 90 seconds. It works. The recipe works. Is it delicious? Debatable. Maybe with some Nutella or however is your favorite way of having your toast or your bread. Maybe that will change things. Straight up, it's kind of meh. Alrighty, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Love hearing from you. Love hearing your recommendations. Check out my website for printable versions of these recipes. Like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Now what? Should I even bother seeking out? No, I think not.